All right, I'm here in the EA HQ in the UK with Thomas Singleton, or the line producer of Grand Slam Tennis number 2. Now, I've just had a go of the pre-alpha build. Was that right? And it's pretty impressive so far. Now, some cynics might say that all tennis games are practically the same. So, what are you guys doing different?
Well, first and foremost, our number one innovation and what really sets us apart from what's been done to date in the tennis category would be our total racket control, right? So what we're doing is we're taking the buttons and throwing them away, so to speak. So for the first time in a tennis product, you're able to play the entire experience using just the analog sticks. So we've separated the left analog stick from the right analog stick. Left analog stick will take care of your movement, your player's feet, while the right analog stick transforms into the racket, hence the name total racket control, right? It's combining not only your shot type selection from a flat to a slice to a topspin, but also the aiming of where you're placing your balls, again, with your racket. So hit a flat shot, you're simply pushing up on the right analog stick in the direction you want the ball to head in. Pretty intuitive, pretty simple. You add additional complexities by pulling back and then pushing forward to hit topspin shots. The longer I hold back, the more power I generate on my shot. However, there's always a compromise. In more power means less accuracy. So there's a lot of depth within there to hit slice shots. If I want to go real deep against the baseline, I'll hit a slice shot. I'll simply pull back on the right analog stick, release in the direction I want the ball to go in, and the ball will travel there.
Okay, now I've just had a go with Roger Federer versus Maria Sharapova. I didn't even pronounce that right, but anyway, there's a lot of pro AI going on in there. I mean, it's pretty accurate, even down to Maria's grunts. So just tell us a bit about the pro AI that went into it, and did you pull these guys in and get some what's the word, the motion capture going with these guys?
Yeah, so Pro AI is our AI system. It's similar to what we've done in our NHL franchise and Fight Night, where we have real AI systems. So we've got our players playing professionally. They're realistic and they're organic in nature. So not only do they look like themselves, they play like themselves, and they sound like themselves in Maria Sharapova's example, right? To a Johnny Mac who, from an emotional standpoint, may have a bit of meltdown, right? So John McEnroe's exclusive to our franchise. He's there in his glory with his afro and headband, etc., and he'll have emotional outbursts just like he does in real life within the product. From an organic standpoint, throughout a match, if I'm dominating my opponent with a forehand winning shot down the line, my opponent's going to adapt and adjust to that and try to either keep the ball away from my forehand or have a tendency to shadow that forehand down the line so I don't get those winners.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. So I actually asked this in my NHL interview as well. It seems like, collisions aren't really happening here in tennis, but like Pro AI is another big thing that EA is doing across the board this year. Was that something that you guys all seem to get together and just be like, this is what we need to do across all of our titles?
Absolutely. I mean, nothing in the EA Sports label or EA as a company usually happens by accident. We're definitely well connected. We're definitely trying to bring in similar initiatives like Total Racket Control. It wasn't the first time we've done a right stick title. I worked on a franchise called Fight Night 2004, the original Fight Night franchise, where we introduced Total Punch Control, utilizing the right analog stick. NHL has Total Tricks or right stick control, right? So it was a logical choice there. When it comes to the AI standpoint, we're all very close family, and we're all working together on trying to bring that into the tennis franchise now.
Fair enough. And now it's on PlayStation Move. We'll get to talk about that in a little bit, but why not Xbox Connect?
Well, PlayStation Move, outside of our biggest innovation, again, right analog stick, total racket control, we felt that the PlayStation Move and best-in-class integration on that, literally putting the racket in the palm of your hand, was where we wanted to concentrate our efforts. We built a system in total racket control that lends itself and works very nicely with the Move. If we were to go on Connect, it would have to be a different experience. I think, in order to deliver that Connect on that platform, it wants to be a lot different. You can't have a realistic character in the foreground, right? Because it just doesn't work. It breaks down.
Okay, so let's talk about the Move controls. I mean, obviously the big one is you're actually moving and you're swinging a racket. But what are some of the other differences, obviously, to having a controller in your hand?
Yeah, I mean, well, you nailed it. It's about getting up off your butt, off the couch, right? Which you could play with total racket control. If you're playing the move, you're up, you're on your feet, you're swinging the racket like a Grand Slam champion, literally, right? You're hitting top spin shots by swinging from low to high. You're hitting slices by swinging down from high to low. Flat shots straight through, forehands, backhands. You name it. I mean, you could break out a little bit of a sweat if you so choose to. All depends on how exaggerated you want to move.
Okay. And let's talk about different surfaces in tennis. Offer different challenges and variations. I mean, how do you incorporate something like that and make each surface feel different in this game?
Well, the physics in each of the venues, we've got all four. Wimbledon is exclusive to Grand Slam tennis, hence the Grand Slam title. So we travel from the grass to the clay.
Excuse me, we'll edit that out.
No problem. We travel from the grass to the clay to the hardcourt in the Australian Open. And each of those surfaces plays differently. Whether it's the players sliding on the surface or the ball and how it bounces on the surface, we've captured each of the essence from each of the actual surfaces.
Right, okay, cool. And for someone that's completely new to tennis games, what would you say to them and how would you get them to get on this game and give it a go?
I think this game, for the first time, brings tennis to the masses with its simplicity in the total racket control innovation. You've tried it firsthand. It's simple in nature, however, as complex as you want it to be. Right? You can get in there and have great success by simply hitting flat shots over back at your opponent. Let's be honest, tennis isn't the most complex sports ever, and I believe the first video game ever made was a game called Pong, which in essence is tennis without the net, right? So, however, we've still got all the depth in there from a gameplay standpoint, from a roster standpoint, over 20 licensed players. So, if you're going to pick up a tennis product and you want something that's got a great barrier of entry or lack thereof barrier, this is the product for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Now, we didn't touch on it just before, but I think it's probably important to mention about some of the different modes involved in the game and perhaps some online play. What's going on there?
So we're not talking a ton about all the other modes, but I mean, we definitely got the EA Sports depth that's expected of us. So online's definitely there, a full feature set within online. Career mode is definitely there, so you will have that single player journey for sure. ESPN Grand Slam Classics will be a feature within there, and we'll talk more about that in October. Training games and a training system to grow you into a better tennis player on and off the court, definitely something in there as well.
Okay. And the game, as I mentioned, in the pre-alpha stage, so when are you expecting it? It's early next year, is that right?
Well, we're not talking about exactly when it's coming out in 2012. However, there are 4 venues taking place in 2012, of which is in your homeland. And we were just trying to figure out which location do we want to launch this title.
No worries. Well, Thomas, thank you very much.
No problem.